Hi, and welcome to Three Questions With. Got my friend Deb Forgione with us, and she's a realtor. This segment, we're going to focus on downsizing. Something as my birthday comes up next week, I've been giving some thoughts to. Deb, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Deb, one of the challenges to me when I think about downsizing, to me, it's just super overwhelming. My wife and I talk about it from time to time. We have different ideas, different maps. You're like, oh, let's just put it off. We'll do it another day. Sometimes you have to have a plan, though, because another day, because it might be tomorrow.
Right. Well, I think we were talking earlier, like a lot of the conversations are about first-time buyers, and I'm at the stage of my life, and a lot of my clients and customers, because I've been in it for 30 years, are on the other side where way past first-time buyers, now thinking more towards retirement. And what a lot of people don't realize is the asset that they have. So getting a market analysis of their property right now at their age, if they're starting to be in their 50s, like 55 and up, keeping track of your asset. What is the equity that you have? Because that equity can help you now. So if you are thinking of making a move, going from a large house, downsizing, now is the time to do it, to find out what is that asset worth. Now, the things that people don't like to talk about, and you do have to talk about it, is what happens if you get sick. Everyone doesn't plan on getting sick, but it can happen in a minute. What happened to my dad? He got sick faster. There was no planning. It was, he's sick, and what do we do? And the maze that we went through to get him services, get him into a facility, downsizing the house, the asset, it was so overwhelming that once it's over, I have all this knowledge, and I realized that my friend or my neighbor is going to have to do exactly what I just did.
Yep.
So being mindful at our ages is to start the plan, thinking about as you retire, as you age out, are you going to stay in that home? If you're going to stay in that home, are you going to be having people help you? Are you going to sell the home and go to one level living? You're going to go to a senior housing. You're going to assisted living. And I hope that people would contact me and I could have real conversations with them, because it's something that people don't want to pause and think about because it really hasn't happened yet. Don't be the person that has to do it. Try to find out as much information as you need now. Maybe you don't need it right now, but you'll have it when the time comes, or you can even help somebody.
I liked one of the points you brought up, because we've had to think about that too. One level living. You go out, you see things like, well, this is beautiful, but it has an upstairs, downstairs. And as we start to age, that's something we have to consider. At this point in time, I can get up and down the stairs, but what if I can't going forward? How's that's going to impact me? Something you have to think about, right?
And if you don't think you want to move, then the option would be, could you make your first floor into a living quarter? That's the other thing that I help and advise with. If you have money in your asset, you have home equity, you can always build a full bath. You could maybe build less expensively a section to your house. You could do a bedroom. Maybe you want to add an in-law suite to the house, and maybe one of your children would be buying the main house. So there are options. So adding a first floor bedroom, adding an in-law, or selling the asset and downsizing. I just recently sold a friend's house in Lowell, and her thought was to move to Florida, and she sold it, went to Florida, and now isn't sure she wants to live there. But she's got the asset, so now she can make some changes. But I think the one thing we didn't do is send her to Florida for a while and see if she really was going to move there and like it. So, those things come up too. You think you want to go to Florida, but you get the money, you get the time, and then you realize, I don't want to be here.
Right. But I think that's, like you said, where you could be really helpful to people, unfortunately, because of your experience, is just to have that sit down and talk. Okay, what are all the options? Like you said, sometimes it's as simple as, hey, can we live on one floor of our home, or can we do some sort of modification? So maybe the house is still okay. And also it's hard because a lot of people just have 30, 40 years of memories in a house. And you're sitting there going, okay, we had 3 children, they're gone. This house is way too big for us, way too costly to maintain. But I look at the wall where we used to measure you, and I see all your little marks on the door frame, and you're like, I kind of want that. So you need to sit down with an experienced realtor like yourself, Deb, and just have that talk, right? Isn't that the best approach to this, to get some help so you're not
They don't have to
overwhelmed?
do a thing.
Yeah.
Don't have to do a thing, but have a conversation, have it, put it, make your notes, put it away, give it something to, chew on, going through the holidays. And actually they could also be a help to someone else. They might not even want to do anything today, but maybe their friend does, and helping them, advising them, they can refer them to someone like me who would do a market opinion for them. And I'm skipping around a little bit. Also, what I'm finding is a lot of communities, some are more senior friendly. And that is a big help too, to know which communities are more senior friendly and more active senior centers, more services. That's another thing I help with.
Now, are you having a lot of people looking at over 55 communities?
A lot. So it's very hard to get permits for any new construction projects. And towns are very welcoming of 55 and older because you don't add a lot of services to the schools. Yep. So those are popular. Yep. And they're popular, that they sell out fast. So it shows you a lot of people probably would be making more moves if there was more inventory and more ways to make choices. That's why sometimes adding to a house an in-law makes sense.
Yep. Now, do you have any tips for how someone would pick up a 55 community? Because they seem to be popping up a lot more. But like you said, is there anything, hey, here's some things you should think about before you decide to move into a over 55 community?
Budget and services. So picking a community that's going to be very welcoming and helpful. Some communities have the Meals on Wheels. They have an active seniors facility. They have active bus transportation to take you shopping. So some communities are really, they do a really good job. So that, finding the community, and then what is your budget from your asset?
Yep. Last thing, because like I said, we had 3, we got about 5.
Okay.
But like I said, one thing that I'm very surprised about, a lot of people don't realize, Deb, is how much value they have in their home. Because, people may have bought that house 40 years ago for X dollars, and they may be stunned over what the house is worth now.
I remember selling houses to people like in 88, 89, and believe me, I am stunned on what the value is, the asset that they have. Yeah. And I've had some people refinance it so that they could make improvements to their house, take some vacations, lessen the load of the burden of like large bills, and having some money to travel to see if there are other places they want to live, maybe Florida, maybe South Carolina. That's helpful too.
All right, one more question. I really will stop. I like what you just said. To me, that makes sense because, we have this vision of Florida, the Carolinas, whatever it may be, but maybe you should go and spend a little time there. I mean, because when you go on vacation for a week or two, and it's fun because we're doing stuff every day, we're seeing our friends, but maybe if you spend a little more time there, maybe different season, to make sure it's a match for you before you sell everything and go, seems to be logical.
You and I are on our way. Closer than we think.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense to me because, people, I had friends move to Florida. You're like, oh, that seems to be the thing to do. We retired. Let's sell the house in Mass and New Hampshire and go to Florida. But it doesn't mean that's what's right for you. I mean, some people get there, then realize they miss their family. Like, oh, I forgot about how much time, and like in my case, I spent with my nieces and nephews. I wouldn't even consider something like that. I'd miss them too much.
but you'd like to be able to go maybe warm in the winter, maybe
Yeah.
a couple of weeks, a couple of
Right.
months. So if you downsize with your asset to something less expensive, you'd have
Yep.
that extra
Raise
money
it
to
up.
travel.
Yeah. All right, Deb. So let's grab your contact information before we let
Okay.
you go.
All right, so Deb Forgione, 978-761-1395, phone or text. I'm with Lear Realty Partners. My Gmail email is debforgione1@gmail.com.
Deb, I really appreciate you taking time to jump on the show with me. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thank you. Have a good one.